Oh, guys, good, you're here. I am so excited. Guess what?
I hope this isn't about your podcast again.
Why, did you finally listen to it?
I came in like a wrecking ball.
The Green Next Door is recorded in front of a live studio audience. Welcome to the Green Next Door. You're listening to my mommy and daddy.
And now our feature presentation.
And he is your host, my mommy and daddy, Chris and Stella Green. Hello, Pups and Kittens, and welcome to episode 93 of The Green Next Door.
I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me, as always, is the fabulous Sarah.
Hello.
And doing our intro this week was Claire.
Hello.
Well, this week we wanted to try a little bit something different for once.
She wanted to be more into the podcast this time.
Yeah, well, she's the mini podcaster. The one who actually will get ratings more than us.
And she's putting her earphones back in and listening to her music.
Well, this week, we actually are going to kind of, in a sense, follow our week of last week, having a little bit of a sports conversation. In a different light, though, of course. We will do our weekly roundup as we do every week, and we have a lot of GND news for us this week. I loved what you gave me. You gave me a great story last night, which I thought was really cool. And as some of you may already know, September is Disaster Preparedness Awareness Month. So we will discuss things that you could put in the actual kit in case of an emergency. So I want to start off this week by talking about how many weeks you've been smoke-free. 14 weeks already. That is crazy.
Whoop whoop. And it gets easier as we go. I don't even think about going outside for a smoke anymore. I don't think about, oh, I'm going to get up right now and go outside. No, I don't even feel it.
That is amazing. and you actually are around a smoker. And you unfortunately have to, see that a lot of times. And that has no effect whatsoever.
It's actually kind of gross. When a smoker walks by me and I smell the smoke, I'm like, ew, it's so gross. Get away, get away, get away, get away. You're polluting my nose right now.
You're polluting my air. Get away.
How you tolerate it for so many years is beyond me.
I was just so used to it over my life. I grew up with a mom that smoked, and then you were smoking, and it just became one of those things. I don't know.
Well, I remember, finding out we were pregnant with Claire, and I quit smoking then. And then, like a retard, I picked it back up, 6 months after she was born?
I'd say a little bit more than that. About a year, almost.
No, about 6 months after she was born is when I kicked it back up. But, it was so stupid of me.
Yeah, because you actually had it kicked.
Yeah, I had it kicked. But I don't see a purpose in going back. There's other ways to manage my stress now than to go outside for a cigarette. It's great. It's been great.
It's going to be weird coming winter and not going outside during work and being out in the freezing cold and trying to figure out how am I going to bear this.
I used to have these special boots that were, I bought for going out and stuff. They're really cute. But what's great is that they're waterproof too. So I put them on, I can go outside and track in the 1.5 foot snow and not feel it in my legs or my feet. I go outside for a cigarette. My tennis shoes, all the snow would collapse inside of it. It would get my tennis shoes wet and I would have to go to work that way. No, I just brought my actual boots with me, throw those things on and continue going from there and not have to worry about a thing. It was great.
Yeah, and I remember you smoking cigarettes while in flip-flops too.
Out in the snow.
Yep, always out in the snow. I thought that was always kind of weird. It's always weird when somebody walks by and they realize, hey, they're recording something. You get a lot of weird attention.
People looking like, what are you talking to? A magical ball.
A magical ball. How weird is that? But then they see the actual decibels going up and down on the actual monitor, and then they go, oh, I know what they're doing.
It's still funny.
It is really funny. And you know, one of the things about making this podcast that we enjoy is that we do it out so that it's out in kind of public range, getting the sound effects of everything around us. And, you know, it does have a better sound. I hate that sterile sound on a podcast, you know, where you hear nothing except for, you know, the people talking. I don't like sterile sounds. You know, we've had plenty of podcasts that we've had, you know, in sterile, like when we were away with Claire's birthday, it was very sterile. No sound effects behind it. And I really hate that. I can understand where a lot of people have said, I really like actually hearing the sound effects in the background. It makes me feel like I'm actually in an area with you. So that is kind of weird. But it is funny when they stop and they're looking at you going, huh, they're doing something. Now, I'll go into it in the weekly roundup because we actually had a message this week on YouTube. And I wanted to read that message.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
You didn't let me know?
It happened yesterday. It was late yesterday that I
because
got
we never
this.
talk every day.
I know, right?
You know.
Well, I'll read it to you. I'll read it to all of you.
I'm sure.
Well, let's dive into the weekly roundup.
The weekly roundup, yeehaw.
All right, and diving into this week's weekly roundup, I'm going to start with a message we got yesterday on our YouTube channel. Now, we actually have a YouTube channel. Did you know that?
Nope.
You didn't?
I thought I was just talking to talk.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, we actually have a YouTube channel.
Oh, wait, I knew that. It's just, I don't think anybody actually watches.
Actually, they do. Surprisingly, we've almost had, I don't even know where we are at. I know we're close to 10,000 views, for sure. I know that.
Got 18 likes and no dislikes.
Well, that's just on that video alone. We've had, on episode 1, The Great Pyrenees, we've had 3,800, almost 3,900 views on just that one alone. Really crazy. It's so weird that things we do actually people listen to. But we got a message yesterday and it was really cool. You know, we get it every so often. We'll get a message on our videos and on our show itself. But Joanna actually posted a comment. She said, this is exactly what I needed to watch to know that this is what I want to do in response to being a groomer. So, you know, I responded back. Grooming is a lot of fun, but there's a lot more involved than you think. I just went to school this summer and I had a year and a half experience in bathing. We talk a lot about day-to-day grooming on the podcast that you guys are all listening to right now. My best recommendation is to work at a shop for a while before you invest your money and time. A lot of people drop out. I'm nearly 2 years in and I've seen a lot of fails. Good luck and let us know how things are going. And Joanna replied, thank you. Yeah, next summer she's planning on actually attending, working for a professional groomer, and she'll, you know, take it from there. So, if you're listening, you know, one, thank you for the message. That was really cool. Good luck on that. Like I said, you know, this is a lot of fun.
Grooming is a great career.
It is.
And grooming can pay very well. Depending on how good you are, it can pay extremely well. You can look at any grooming Facebook page and stuff like that where former high school students or college, you know, buddies come in and get their dogs groomed by the person they went to college with, and they said, didn't you graduate college? Well, yeah. And you're a dog groomer. Like, it's a bad thing. And you see that brand new car sitting outside? Yeah, that's from dog grooming.
Very true.
The house I live in, yeah, that's from dog grooming. So it's an actual amazing career to be in. It's just you have to take the good along with the bad.
And there is a lot of good and there is a lot of bad that goes with it. You know, the unfortunate side is, and that's every job out there, whether you're a doctor, you're a pilot, or you're a dog groomer, and I'm not putting them all in the same category as they're all the same. I'm just saying, any job has its highs and lows. You know, I definitely would say there's probably more highs. It is fun that your client that you get to work with every day doesn't really talk back to you, but they do have a tendency to want to bite, poop, or pee on you at times.
Yeah, it can get pretty messy, but again, it's the best career I could choose for myself. I had a choice of dealing with children or dealing with dogs when I first started out. You know, I went into security, managed a security firm for a while. Was not my cup of tea. I did not like it. And the company ended up downsizing, so I went on unemployment for a while. 2 months.
I was gonna say, that was not a while. That was a couple minutes.
Yeah, well, 2 months later, I had a call from a pet store, and I had a call from a child care providing area, and they would have put me through college for child development, so I would have become more of a permanent fixture there. And then the pet store said, well, you start out as a bather.
No, you were not supposed to start out as a bather.
Yeah.
You were going to be a stalker.
Well, I know, I'm just saying, but when I got the final call saying you're hired, it was for bathing.
Right.
And they said, well, after you bathe for a while, then you'll go to school. Okay, well, we'll both send to school. What do I want to do? Do I want to deal with poopy diapers
I remember
or
this
poopy kennels?
conversation too. It was such a funny conversation.
So I ended up just going with the pets, and it ended up being just a fantastic move for me, and obviously for you too, a decade later.
Decade later.
Yeah, I've been grooming now for 11 years.
12.
No, 11.
Is it 11?
Yeah, I recalculated. It was 11 years. Because 10 years would have meant I started there at 18, or before I was 18.
Oh, okay.
If I did 12 years. So, yep, 11 years later, here I am, still grooming, still loving it, still kicking butt.
I think it's awesome.
But I hope this person really studies and analyzes herself and just
push yourself to that brink. Find yourself where you're at.
Make yourself better each day.
Yeah.
You know,
learn everything.
Spend a little more time blending. Spend a little more time on something you think you're having a hard time learning.
I always say start off in the bathing like I did. I think that how you had me go about this was probably more of the. It took a little longer to get to where I'm at today, but you know, I think I have a better understanding, I guess you could say. I don't know. But yeah, you know, good luck on that one. I love the messages whenever we get them. I try to read them on the podcast just because, you know, it's a real people show with real people that are actually looking at things to do with their life. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope she gets back to us later.
Yeah.
You know, in a few months when she realizes, hey, this is exactly what I want to do. I'll put up with the biting dogs. I'll put up with the screaming, you know, ear hair pulling. I'll put up with the customers with sticks up the rear ends. You know, I'll deal with it. It's okay.
Or the ones that park in my parking spot when I get to work.
That was just a bad day.
Oh, that was a bad day. Well, we'll touch on that bad morning in a little bit. What dog stands out for you this week?
They're all pretty much just normal everyday puppies.
Yeah, it seemed like an average week. Nothing out of the ordinary. I'm trying to think myself. There was a lot of pooping dogs this week.
Oh yeah, a lot of dogs that have not been walked before they brought into the.
That's the first thing that I'm going to topic
on. What I love about working with Laura in the morning is that Laura puts the dogs outside for about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
before
she
knows.
knows.
Puts them in the kennel.
She knows that a lot of times what you're going to notice, and this is for anybody who is actually going to become a groomer or who is a groomer, you're going to notice that your morning drop-offs are people who did not take their dog for a walk before they got him in the car. They got ready for work. They had their bagel and coffee, put the dog in the car really quick, drove to the salon, dropped the dog off, and went off to work. Problem with that? Guess what? The dog still had to go to the bathroom. I had a dog that overweight dog that ended up pooping on itself, and I was drying, and I didn't even know that it went to the bathroom on itself.
Well, the thing is that people don't care about how big their dog is. And it is worse for a dog to be obese than it is for a human to be obese. It is more detrimental to their health, you know, for them to be a healthy weight. Feeding them table scraps because you see them begging, stop it. This dog eats nothing but junk food.
Oh yeah.
And gets table scraps. It's not right. And this poor dog, it was like a Basset Beagle mix.
It kind of looked like a really large corgi too. It had such a weird look to it. It was huge.
It was huge, and it barely moved. It would rather sit in its own waste than get up and move.
It did, and that was the hard part. I was almost done with the dog from its dry, and I had to take it back in the tub because it pooped itself and was just sitting in it.
Oh.
And that can be rough. So that was a big part of my time. Is I noticed more dogs that were going to the bathroom.
Or the dogs that you let him out to go to the bathroom and then you put him back in his kennel and then 2 seconds later they're peeing.
Right.
Jake did that to me. And it's like,
yeah.
Jake. And it was right when his mom showed up. I just had to tell her, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to chill out and wait for, 5-10 minutes. Let me rewash the feet and dry the feet. Luckily, that only takes a few seconds. It doesn't take very long. But yeah, we suffer weeks like that where it's pile after pile. We have to pick up.
Pile after pile. Yeah, and that's what it was too. We definitely faced that. Friday was kind of comical, as we had said before. The alarm didn't go off. Well, actually, the alarm went off. You hit snooze. I was out of it. I didn't even know.
I must turn it completely off.
Yep. And we got up late. But
well, I took a sleeping pill because I haven't been sleeping.
Right.
And anybody who knows me, I am a lightweight. So when the directions say 2, I take 1. And that's what I did. I took 1 sleep aid.
Right.
Instead of the 2. And I still didn't wake up till 7:30 in the morning when I'm supposed to be up at 6:45.
Yep. So we're, getting ready for work, rushing ourselves to work. And of course, in the middle of all that, we have to get our daughter ready for school, get her, prepped and ready. So we're all kind of running around the house. That was quite comical. And yet, ironic as this is, we were able to pull it off.
Well, normally the first half hour of us being awake is us trying to become awake and trying to function.
Yes. It takes a lot to get us to function.
Yeah, at best, at 7:30, we're functioning retards. It's bad. We're like, dang.
That's me at noon. Are you kidding?
But it gets pretty bad. To that day, it was horrible. I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, crap.
That could have, it could have been worse. I mean, it could have been worse.
I threw a pillow at Claire. Claire, wake up. We gotta go. Gotta get dressed. We're gonna be late. And I threw a pillow at you to wake you up.
I almost think you enjoyed that.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
After all the abuse you and Claire put me through, it's nice to put you through something. It was pretty cool. But I woke up and I was like, Claire, go get dressed. You, go get your coffee. I'm gonna go get dressed. And I come back out and Claire's wearing long pants. And it's supposed to be 90 degrees out. No. Claire, here, wear these. But I'm already dressed. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I did this to you, but we got to get going. So please, just put your shorts on. Let's get going.
And I can always judge what I'm going to have in front of me on a dog by the way a car is parked in the parking lot, whether it was here or even in school. I did the same thing there. Whenever a car just parked in a random place that they knew wasn't the parking spot, or they parked like they were taking up 3 spots, I always knew what I had in store for me, and it was exactly that. Took my parking spot, every parking spot possible in where we park. That always drives me insane. That is the number one thing that probably drives me insane. There's a way you kind of can tell
there is no sign that says employee parking.
No, but you can tell.
There is no sign that says customer parking.
But when there's a front row spot that would have been wide open for anybody to park in, and you park at a further end, which kind of was an odd spot, where there's only one other car, which you kind of would know would have to have been somebody who worked there. It's kind of one of those.
Well, it's kind of Keith's fault for not putting up signs saying parking.
True, but
customer parking only. Customer parking only.
That is my pet peeve. And then
yet there's no way for people to know this, because if you're pulling up to some place
I would know. I would know.
Whatever.
I
You
would
pulled
totally
in
know.
many a times to other people's parking spots.
Well, that's out of pure spite.
No.
Now it's out of spite. No, actually, I would know. I would know.
No,
I
you
would know.
If you pulled up into a new place that you've never been before, and you see all
at least
this
I would know how to park. I would at least park in one spot that would require one stall. That small car took up 4 different parking spots.
2, but yes, I can agree with that one. But where to park? How is she to know? That was her first time there.
Drives me. And then the dog, I swear, didn't that dog poop?
No, that was the dog that wouldn't hold still.
Oh, same difference.
No,
biggest pet peeve for me. And it's, you know, if that's the biggest pet peeve I have in this world, that's not too bad. But park normal, park correctly. And actually, if I go to the market, if I go anywhere, park your car correctly. Don't park in 3 different stalls. Oh, that could drive me nuts.
You drive me nuts. You drive me absolute bonkers, especially when there is no designated sign for anybody to park.
Okay, when you go to Walmart and people are taking up 2 and 3 different spots.
That's one thing. I told you. I already said.
Still, point I'm making. That's my pet peeve in life. That's how I always know what to expect. But, you know, it wasn't a bad day. There was really no bad day this week. You know, besides dogs pooping and peeing.
No, we got out at a good time.
Well, there was a couple days where we were out a little later. 5:30. There was a few.
Yeah,
there was
but
2 or 3 5:30s.
That beats 6:30.
Well, no, you're right. But there were.
Thank you. I appreciate you telling me I'm right.
Yeah. Well, there
Thank
you go. There, it's on tape now. now you can just take that sound bite. So, yeah, that's our week. Oh, we had an ice cream social for Claire. Yeah. We had that in her school, and that's always a lot of fun. I enjoy being part of her school. All right, well, I guess that concludes our weekly roundup. Let's dive into this week's GND news. All right, this week on GND news, we actually have 2 stories for you. One is going to have 2 different sound clips. And one is going to be a really interesting story that you brought to my attention last night. Updos is the new trend. Now, do you want to set this up before we actually play the clip?
No, I think we need to play the clip and then I'll talk about it.
Okay, Claire, play the clip.
Now, you may have heard of the man bun. Well, now there's a dog version. Poochers are stealing the limelight from their long-locked owners, sporting matching top knots online. But local vets warn the latest trend could cause serious and costly injuries.
Even man's best friend can't escape this year's hottest hairstyle.
Oh, it looks cute. It does look cute, but I wouldn't do it to mine.
She's my fur baby, so I don't have a child. She's my child, so I'm going to put ribbons in my kids' hair when I have them one day. Why not put them in hers?
It's erupted on social media with more than 3,500 photos popping up on Instagram bearing the hashtag #DogBun. To get the look, owners pull their pets' ears back, securing them with elastic bands. The controversial updo has local vets in knots.
If you put a rubber band around that, you can cut off the blood supply to the ear, so the whole top of the ear could die if it's left on for any length of time.
He says it also has the potential to cause cuts as well as extreme discomfort.
When you actually cut off blood supply, it actually really does hurt. It's a very painful thing.
And it could prove painful to the hip pocket, with ear surgery costing up to $1,000. Vets say that if you are keen to experiment with your dog's style, there are some safer options.
I mean, the most we've seen is ribbons in the hair at various times and stuff like that. That's pretty normal. You know, occasionally people paint their nails. That's pretty harmless.
Sophie Torber, 7 News.
All right. So now that you guys have heard the clip, what's your take on this? Because this is a weird thing.
This has been pretty much a groomer's trick for a very long time, and I've used it all my career. But I take a scrunchie of some sort and I tie the ears up behind the dog's heads so that I can work on the face because of dropped ears. I mean, the hair gets right where your scissors are, you're trying to maneuver. This way, you just pin them back. Or a lot of groomers tuck the ears in the loop.
Yes.
And then tighten the loop on it a little bit. If you have it up for a few seconds, it's not going to hurt the dog.
Right.
Or even just a few minutes, it's not going to hurt the dog. But if you leave it up that way
for the whole day,
you're gonna hurt the dog. If you tighten it a lot, you're gonna hurt the dog. If you use rubber band, you're gonna hurt the dog.
It's a ridiculous
a fashion thing. It is a utility thing. You move them. I know people who pin their Cocker Spaniel's ears back in a tie so that they can eat and not get the food all up in their ears. It is disgusting. It smells. It can turn their fur colors.
Right.
So this way they get it out of the way. But then once they're done eating, they let the ears down. It's super cute. I know one of my customers tagged me in a photo on Facebook with the dog that had an updo, and it was super duper cute. It was a little poodle mix of some sort, red, and it was super cute. But you know, you take a photo and then take the hair down.
Right. It's like putting sunglasses on a dog's butt, you know, right above its tail, so it looks like it actually has sunglasses and a nose. That's
funny.
It's funny, but you don't keep it there.
Right. And one time when I was working at the pet store, we had this really cute Pekingese come into us. Her name was Honey. And Honey was an awesome Pekingese. We loved her to death. We did anything for her and her mommies. She was so good. Okay? And one day, I want to say about a week after her first grooming, or one of her groomings, one of her moms calls us and says that they have a big problem, that they need to talk to us about it, and wants to make sure to talk to the groomer. Well, Josue was there, and
no way, Josue.
They come down and come to find out, they wanted to go and complain to him and argue with him and yell at him for putting ear bows in wrong. And he was like, what? And we looked at the ears. The rubber band was put around the entire ear.
Ooh.
Not around the hair, around the entire ear. And the rubber band was on so tight that it actually cut off circulation to most of the ear. And actually had indentions and cuts that the rubber band went into. It was horrible. And Josue looked at it and he goes, I didn't do that. And she goes, yes you did. You're the only one that did this. And Josue goes, no, I did not. I didn't put the earbuds in. I can't do it. I don't know how to. One of the other girls did. I said, well, who did it? And it ended up being Melissa. Well, Melissa has a special way of putting earbuds in with hemostats. She'll wrap the bow around the hemostat and barely open the hemostat to put some hair into the middle, clip it, and then pull the rubber band and the bow over the hair. Well, when you wrap the rubber band around the hemostat, it doesn't open enough to put an entire ear through it. And I'm looking around and I see little kids. I'm like, oh. I said, are you sure that the bow didn't fall off and one of the little kids tried to put it back on? No, they would never do that. No, they would never do it. Are you sure? Because this isn't a groomer's move. And they went to, you know, obviously because it was a big box pet store, everything's our fault. It's always our fault. Owners never do anything. Went over to the vet, and even the vet said, no, the groomers don't do this. Groomers put it in the hair, not the ear. They can tell the difference. Oh, it was annoying. Couldn't find out. I guess a few years later, the two mommies broke up. And one of the mommies I saw at, like, I don't know, Albertsons or something like that. She confessed and found out the kid actually put the bow around the ear. The entire ear.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and we
smells
got
like barbecue, doesn't it?
I can't smell it. I forgot to take my Claritin, so my allergies are killing me right now.
God, it smells like barbecue. It smells so good right now. I'm sorry.
But with this updo trend, it needs to stop. You can put bows in their hair and be fine. You got to make sure you don't get the skin. And you got to make sure it doesn't stay there for a long time because it'll knot up and mat, and then all of a sudden you'll have a big old hole in your dog's hair because you didn't want to brush it. So updos are not a good idea.
No. I thought it was a weird look too. It's like that. It's so unnatural. It's like why what?
It looks like some women out of the 50s where they
have
their,
the beehive.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But for the most part, it's cute to do for a few seconds if you're bored, but nothing more than a quick photo.
Quick photo. Yeah. All right. Well, and now on to our second story of the week. Now I know we've actually made almost a thing about sports in the last couple episodes here, but this one actually has a different significant ambition, I guess. Now, some of you, well, I'm pretty sure all of you actually know who Michael Vick is. Kind of hard if you're an animal lover not to know who he is. Last week, he signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a lot of ramifications come from that. I wanted to discuss that with you, your take on him signing, that organization pulling their big organization. They have a big rally that goes on there, and they pulled it from Heinz Field in Pittsburgh because of his signing. And there's definitely an opinion here. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So I'm going to play two clips, part of this. Clip number one will be the actual organization. This came from the news channel in Pittsburgh, reporting on this. And then afterwards, I'm actually going to have Piers Morgan sit down with Michael Vick. And I want you to kind of hear it from his mouth and his opinion on the situation, on what happened to him. And you're going to see that there's no remorse by him. It's almost kind of like, well, that was just the way things were where I grew up. And, without, completely overshadowing what he said, there's a takeaway from it. You may actually have a different one than I do, but, I have an opinion on him, and I'm sure you do too. So, Claire, play the clips.
Well, Mike Wendy, it would have been the 5th year it had been here at Heinz Field for this big gala, this big fundraiser, but now all because of one player. You can guess who. The Animal Rescue League says they are done with Heinz Field.
That's a good boy.
The Animal Rescue League came out strong against the Steelers' signing of Michael Vick on Tuesday, and by Thursday night, they put their money where their mouth is.
It's been a great venue for us, but we really felt that this year, given all the Michael Vick situation, that we had to move that.
The shelter is moving its gala to the Console Energy Center. The Animal Rescue League saying on its Facebook page, quote, "As the official animal shelter of the Pittsburgh Penguins, we're pleased to share the home of a sports team that has demonstrated a commitment to our animals in need."
It was a no-brainer. The hard part was, where could we go so quickly?
The shelter says it just listened to its donors.
And a lot of them said they did not feel comfortable about going there, so that's when we started looking and decided we needed to move it.
A strong reaction on social media Thursday. Debbie Benning on Animal Rescue League's Facebook page saying, quote, "Thank you for doing this in honor of all animals. You have class. Obviously, the Steeler organization has none." On WTAE's Facebook page, Nancy Rorati disagreed, saying, quote, "He had paid his dues. He should be forgiven, too." Ultimately, the Animal Rescue League is off the gridiron, though, and onto the ice, all in response to Michael Vick.
Again, the Steelers is such a huge part of Pittsburgh and our heritage here. I hate to see that splintered forever.
As for money, you talk about the cost of this decision for the Animal Rescue League. Well, they very well could lose their $1,000 deposit they put down at Heinz Field. Also, it'll cost more to rent out the Console Energy Center. Meanwhile, no comment tonight, despite a request for comment from the Sports and Exhibition Authority, which owns Heinz Field, or from the Steelers organization. Live from Heinz Field tonight, Bo Berman, Pittsburgh's Action News 4.
You say in the book about the first dogfight you witnessed. You were 8 years old. One day a friend and I stepped outside the building where I lived in the Ridley Circle housing project. We saw kids, and you go into the detail of this. You said then you were scared to death of dogs that you didn't know. You jumped on a mailbox to watch it. And from the ringside seats, we saw guys putting their dogs' faces right in front of one another. They would grab and they would fight. I remember 2 of them were fighting when a third, smaller dog jumped on the back of one of the larger dogs to make it 2-on-1. I didn't know what to think of it all. In a way, it captured my attention, but it also seemed mean, even cruel. The bottom line, though, is that on that very day, my fascination with dogfighting began. I wish it had never happened. What you saw as an 8-year-old boy, although horrific, seemed exciting to you, did it?
Yeah, because, I always had a passion for animals, and I always had a dog. I kept a dog wherever I can keep it. My mom wouldn't let me keep one in the house, so I always snuck and had a dog hidden somewhere. Took care of it, with my own money, however I could get it. But the day I seen that dog fight, something changed. I didn't know dogs would react in the way that they did. And, although it may seem intriguing, nobody ever said that it was not the right thing to do or that it was wrong. And not making excuses for anybody because, nobody has to tell you anything. You only go off what you see, at such a young age. And, I just fell into that trap and started believing what I wanted to believe. And it was never a point in my life where somebody tried to correct me or said that this was wrong. And as I grew up, I continued to think that, it wasn't any consequences behind it or that I would never get in trouble for it.
See, people they'll read the book and they'll see you claiming you're a dog lover. And they'll say, how can you be a dog lover when you killed a lot of dogs because they were too weak to fight, when you enjoyed and made money from dogs fighting? How can you be both? How can you be a dog lover that enjoys doing that too?
I know it may seem contradictory, but, that's just the person that I was. On one hand, I love dogs. On the other hand, I was in love with the competition behind it. And, for some reason, I couldn't, really see, the meaning behind it or why I was really doing it or what really fascinated me, other than just being involved. And, if somebody would have told me that at a young age that you would go to prison for it, then I think I would have went in a different direction because my whole life was predicated on me accomplishing my one dream, and that's making it to the NFL. And if it was any, obstacle that would stand in my way, I would avoid it. And that was just a set of advice that I never received. And I think if I would have, I would have used it correctly like I did in other situations.
All right, so here we go on the situation with Michael Vick. Now, as you heard, I don't see any remorse in this guy. I don't even think he's learned his lesson. The only thing I think he's learned is that, oh crap, I got caught.
Yeah.
And it was mostly because, if I'm not mistaken, the actual charge was because it was illegal gambling, and he brought dogs in out of state. It was something to do with moving dogs out of state, and it was something to do with that. It wasn't the actual abuse on dogs that was the problem.
No, my issue with this entire thing with him, the interview itself, it was ridiculous. For one, he is so uneducated.
Oh yeah, college kid too.
Well, they have to go to college in order to get to football, but they ride on their football so much that it's like that King of the Hill episode.
Yeah.
Where they make the kid pass because he's an all-star football player.
Yeah.
This is how it is. And unfortunately, all of the actual athletes out there, not all of them, should I say, not all of them.
There's certain sports that are more...
Majority. And you talk about me and my ringtone being on.
Well, it's about time mine goes off.
But, their intelligence is so damn low.
Yeah, you had an opportunity to have a good college, education. Yeah, you're right.
And nobody telling him it was wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh.
There's dogfight news out there every other week. You hear about it, and it's unfortunate how much we hear about it. But it's wrong. You knew from the beginning that killing another animal is wrong.
Well, it's murder, no matter how you look at it.
Don't you tell me that you didn't know. Don't you tell me you fell into a trap.
I followed what my friends were doing. I didn't know any better. Bull crud.
You're a crappy football player.
Yeah.
You are not very intelligent. And you're leaving a trail of sludge everywhere you go. And blood is dripping from your hands. How you can live with yourself is beyond me.
The millions of dollars is what helps him sleep at night.
Right? And all the prostitutes you can pay for.
I think the problem I'm having with him is it's not only him, but this is one of the reasons why I don't like football anymore. I've said it before in different times. Certain sports have different ethics that they hold their athletes to. I find that football has one of the lowest. It's not the lowest. The lowest is basketball. I mean, there is just nothing besides thugs, rapists, and abusers in basketball, but it's no different in football anymore. It's really both leagues are the same way, and it's you know, if you're going to continue to have people like that representing your league, you know, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, they're all lumped together. There's murder. There's always drug use. There's always women being abused, women being raped, things being stolen when it comes to football. I mean, how are these people supposed to be something that...
A role model.
Yeah, a role model for these kids when they're just scum.
Right.
You know, Michael Vick wants to be a role model for inner city kids, and all he's going to do is teach them to grow up and fight dogs.
And you know what upsets me is that he's teamed up with an animal rights group, and they're going on this little tour of how, you know, he was wrong but knows he was wrong, and how he
should have known he was wrong before he got caught.
Well, yeah, you would think so, right?
Everybody out there, there's always animal abuse cases. You can't tell me fighting an animal is
burying the dogs in your backyard
is better. Fighting dogs is better than beating them over the head. You can't tell me that one was better. So if you think beating a dog over its head is animal abuse and wrong and the person goes to jail, how do you not think fighting two dogs against each other, 2-3 dogs at a time against one, is okay? And to make it seem like you fell into a trap.
Yeah, I didn't know what
society,
to do.
You know, society made me in this trap. There's nothing else to do for us kids out in the middle of wherever.
Yeah, it's a load of garbage. One thing that I listened to a couple different interviews that he did. No matter what, they all sound the same. They all have the same sound. I'm sorry, I'm breaking concentration here when an idiot has to have their phone on speaker when they're actually going through this automated system. Idiot. And I'm publicly going to call it that. Idiot.
That's annoying. It's like nobody wants to hear about it.
You only see the microphone. Boy. Wow.
And it's not even that. Nobody really wants to hear you go through automated service.
What?
Everybody hates going through automated service. So why do you make them go through it, especially when they're not porn?
Oh.
You know. Anywho.
Wow. Jackass.
But I think that Vick should have been kicked out of football. I mean, it would have been one thing.
I don't know why he was reinstated. I don't understand that.
You know, everybody should have a chance at a second go around. Okay. You paid for what you've done. You paid for it.
Yes.
But when you don't even seem to care.
No, there's no remorse. I mean, he lost millions of dollars. That's the only thing that he cared about was those millions.
And if he went to jail for
2 or 3 years?
illegal gambling, he didn't go to jail for what he did to those animals. He went to jail because the government didn't get a portion of it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's why he went to jail, is because the government didn't get their portion.
Right.
Illegal gambling. Not because of those lives that were lost, those dogs that were mauled, all that pain and suffering that they went through. No. It's because the government didn't get their money.
He should never been allowed back in football. I don't think that... Yeah, honestly, and this goes without saying, Ray Rice last year... knocking his girlfriend out in the Atlantic City elevator and dragging her out. He shouldn't be allowed back in. I mean, anything that would tarnish the reputation of a professional league like this, you shouldn't be allowed in. And yet...
And that's my problem with so many different, with the sports in general. They're so untouchable.
Yeah.
They're worse than, celebrities. They're so untouchable. They are worth so much more money than anybody else that they can do whatever they want to them. They can drag somebody out of an elevator by their hair. And be perfectly fine because they're worth so much money.
Well, yeah, they bring in so much money for their jersey sales and garbage like that.
You know whose fault that is? That's our fault.
For buying it.
For buying into their crap.
Right.
It's our fault for making Super Bowl Sunday such a big thing. It's our fault that these guys are such a-holes.
Well,
it's our fault that we fund them to get it.
I wonder about one thing. The one thing I take away is these. Oh my God, this person again.
Just, come on.
The one part that I find to be kind of sad is the actual people who worked hard in school. They weren't given a free ride. They earned their way into these leagues. They've earned their spot where they're at. They're actually not bad people. And there's a lot of them in all the leagues out there. You know, baseball suffers through PEDs, which if you're not sure what a PED is, it's performance enhancement drugs. That seems to be your worst situation you hear about in baseball. In hockey, there was LA King who he had last year. Well, it was this year, but last season there was an incident. His name is Voynov. He actually had spousal abuse, and he's actually doing some jail time, which I thought was a little odd because I don't remember Ray Rice doing any jail time. And now his visa is in jeopardy. I mean, it's not that he shouldn't be, but I feel like certain people are getting a little bit more of a leeway, and I feel like the league actually in some of these sports are actually doing it.
Well, I mean, these people have such egos that they can't do any wrong.
Right.
And that's the problem here. He doesn't think he did wrong. I mean, if he did, he wouldn't want to talk about it anymore. He'd be so ashamed to talk about it.
I wouldn't want to talk about it.
I mean, the shame. If he truly figured that he was wrong, the shame alone would keep him from doing half the stuff.
Right.
You know, so obviously he knew he was doing wrong. He didn't want to stop it.
I love how he wrote a book, and I guarantee there will be so many people who are going to buy that book, and people will actually care. And it's like, I'm sorry, this guy...
Michael Vick's a hero.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be spun.
Oh,
it's going to be spun pretty bad. And it's because they're a football player.
Yeah.
It's annoying. I'm super happy that the one organization pulled their stuff from the one arena and went to the Pittsburgh Penguins arena.
I actually feel bad for all of the Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there.
I don't.
I do, because they love their team. They don't have any control over who signs on a team.
Well, it's
I would be so mad if my favorite team signed that player.
I mean, you're right. I would be very upset for the actual fans itself, especially when you have a wholesome team, or at least a halfway good team. You know, there's decent people, not talents.
You really hear a lot.
People.
Yeah.
You know, they're decent people, and then you get this tainted come into it. He's not going to be playing very much longer.
I don't even know if he'll play this year. He's a backup to Ben Roethlisberger. And what's funny, here's the thing. Maybe, I guess I really should use this as a line here. Ben Roethlisberger, we've actually reached out to him a few times. Obviously, it's going to be hard to get somebody like that, but he is a huge animal fan and activist. One of his main charity is supporting the police dogs in all around the U.S. And he has a huge foundation for it. So it's kind of one of those, I don't know how that's going to work so well. You know, you have a main athlete who actually is doing good and likes animals.
Football is a job. You know, they go to do their job. The same thing with us. We had recently somebody that we did not like having around. But it was a job.
Right.
We had to deal with them. Ours is a career, theirs was a job. There are differences between a career and jobs. But it's a job that you just gotta deal with it. There's a part of your career that you're just gonna have to deal with it because that's how you make your money and go from there.
Right.
So when somebody comes in that you don't like, you're just gonna have to deal with them. But when it's this bad, when you have so much blood dripping from your hands, it stains.
Yeah, I feel bad for Pennsylvania. They've had him in both their teams. Philadelphia Eagles and now Pittsburgh Steelers have had this guy. That's kind of a sad turn of events. Pennsylvania is almost gonna reek of his stench.
He has so much money right now in his bank account. He doesn't need to work another day in his life.
And he don't care.
It's the vanity. He wants to be in the spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to do something. I'm like, if you want to show your remorse, volunteer your time. Where's your volunteering going to? Throw money all you want. I mean, you have so much of it.
Well, he doesn't show remorse. That's the biggest part.
Remorse is actually putting yourself out and volunteering somewhere and helping causes. If you were that upset on what you did, if you actually showed remorse, if you actually felt ashamed of what you did, and he doesn't feel ashamed.
No, he doesn't. He is what's wrong with pro sports. Literally, what's wrong with it? I'm a huge sports fan. I just, one of the reasons why I don't like to watch it anymore is you got two things. You got bad athletes that are your role model, and you have a lot of that bad sportsmanship. You know, and I mean, I liked it back in the day when they hated each other. I liked it because then I knew when I was going to watch a sporting event, I knew they didn't like each other. I'd go to Los Angeles, I'd go see the Dodgers play the Giants, and they'd hate each other. I loved it. That was truly what it was about. Now it's so touchy-feely, love you. Hey, I'll see you at the next, whatever bad event that we're going to be doing. It's, most likely illegal or whatnot. I'll see you then. It's disgusting. So, to all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there, I'm sorry that your team decided to sign a POS.
The only way to stop anything and have things change is by the masses.
Yeah, turn your back on it.
Don't go to that game. If he's going to be the quarterback or whatever, don't go to that game.
Yeah, that's it.
But then again, how many people really want to be put out?
No, a lot of people will not. Will support their team through thick and thin.
Unfortunately, the ethics of us here in the U.S. have gone down so severely that nothing means anything anymore. There's nothing out there that actually has a true meaning.
Right.
He could be a complete wife beater, beat every single wife he's ever had, beat his children, beat his grandma, beat his mom.
Well, there's tons of that in football right now.
He'll still be making millions of dollars, and everybody's still going to be watching him.
And yet, if it was people like us in a regular job, we would have been terminated and
blacklisted
and
had to move somewhere far where they never met you.
Yeah. I mean, questions do arise. All right. I think that concludes GND News for this week. All right, now on our main topic. September is National Disaster Preparedness Awareness, and the best way to actually topic on that is we've done it before. We do it on a yearly basis. We actually discuss things that actually will help you get your pets prepared for all kinds of different things: zombie apocalypse, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, all of this. Obviously, it all starts with the first thing, and that is proper identification on your dogs and on your cats. Proper identification is key, whether it's ID tags or it's microchipping. Those are very important.
Yeah, microchipping is more important than tags.
Right.
Because with cat collars, they're meant to break away, because if they get hung up and instead choking and strangling themselves to death, it pops open so they can get free. So to microchip them is always the best bet, and keep the information on the microchip up to date.
Right.
Microchips are known to move throughout the body of the animal, so the person who is trying to scan for the chip might need to take a few seconds to do it to make sure they can find it. I've known chips that end up in the base of the dog's tail before because they travel. Why? I don't know, but it does.
And most of your shelters and places out there should have the actual documents to actually do this, to be able to read them.
It used to be way back when, where wherever you got the chip done is where that has to be read from. And now it's become universal where you can go anywhere to have the chip read,
Right.
which is fantastic. And, you know, God bless, you know, modern
technology.
marvels. Exactly.
Right. The other thing is the ASPCA have a lot of different things. It's actually stickers and ID cards and everything for you to actually have all of the information for your pets. Definitely look on the ASPCA for all those different things. You know, that's definitely one thing. Something recommended is have a 2-week supply of food stored for your pet, something that's non-perishable. You know, their hospitals will have something called a 98-hour disaster preparedness situation set, and that's 98 hours worth of food to keep a hospital operational during any said disaster. I'm pretty sure not all hospitals actually do this, but 98-hour in case you're trapped in your house. Now, same thing is going to work for your pets. You want to make sure that you have, if you can't store at least a week's worth of food, definitely, you know, or 2 weeks, at least have a week's worth of food set for your pet. The same thing goes for water. Have enough water for at least a week.
And keep up to date on the expiration dates of these. You know, dog food expires, water expires, everything does have an expiration date. So you want to keep it up to where if it's starting to become close to the time of expiration, rotate it out, just like what grocery stores do with their stock. Ours is in one of the bathrooms in the house that has no walls that lead to the outside.
Right.
We don't have a basement, so that's the best thing that we got.
Well, that's what you do when you actually live in a tornado environment. Exactly.
So we have, you know, a case of water that we'll ration out. We have a bathroom right there. And we have food for the dogs, food for the cats, everything else like that too. And, you know, got to keep everything up to date. That's all.
Well, it's just like you said, rotating your stock. When you buy new dog food, you can use the dog food you bought previously. So you're one time ahead of yourself. Whether it's dog or cat, you buy one extra bag to start with. So this week, you know, for this week or 2 weeks, whatever your dog goes through in supply, you use that bag, and then when you purchase your next bag, you just rotate the bag that you already had at home. So it's a fresh bag every time. That works out really well. Same thing with medication. Make sure that you have, if your dog or cat is on medication, make sure you have an extra supply of that in case.
Or, you know, medication can be extremely expensive. So sometimes you can't have double, and certain laws prohibit you to have double. So what you do is have it all ready to go in a bag that's easy to grab and go. Keep all medicine together, even your own medicine. It should all be neatly together, ready to grab and go.
Right.
Medical records too, grab and go.
Right.
So that if rescuers come, they find you. If you're passed out, they can read whatever you have there and know exactly what's going on with you, what's going on with your pet, and they can go from there without you being conscious.
Very true. Now, I made one of these for your dad. Pretty much it's a dossier of medical history. I always say if you have somebody at home that have medical conditions, have a record at home in a simple binder. That simple binder actually will come in handy in case, say, you end up unconscious and medical personnel come in. Have vaccination records of your pets, photos of your pet and your family in case somebody gets, you know, misplaced during a disaster. Medical and microchip records. Have your leash and harnesses in a place that's easily accessible. If you have small pets, have a dog or cat crate ready. Have it by your garage or in your garage so it's easily accessible. You can grab and go. I know it becomes a little bit more difficult when you have earthquakes. I mean, coming from people who live in earthquake country, those things hit and they hit quickly and you are unaware. And most of the time the damage is so quick you don't have a lot of time. So grab and go is very important.
It's like, we were just talking about it recently about that sign that people put on their card, baby on board.
Right.
Most people think it's there to, you know, tell people to be cautious around this one car, there's a baby. No, that's not true. That's not what they're made for.
Which I didn't know this. This is a great piece of fact.
Baby on board is to let the emergency response teams know that there was a baby in this car. And if you do not see an infant in this car, it was probably ejected from the vehicle. So go searching for a baby. You know, the baby's supposed to be here. It's not. Baby on board. And it's probably very important to have something similar to that in your house. Somewhere where it is visible. Hey, I got 4 cats and 2 dogs. There's me, my son, and my husband. Or something like that. That people know.
Yeah, your evac plan.
Exactly.
Part of that evac plan, you put it all in a regular little red bag. Mostly you want to do something that's really visible. So something that has like that bright yellow, bright red, reflective to lights. The reflectors are really important because then they'll know. If you have a first aid, cross on it would be very helpful. Have it right by an exit, by your front door.
Or multiple exits too.
Yes.
They might not be the most beautiful decorations
They're not.
possible, but if you live in like you said, California earthquakes, Midwest, you got tornadoes. You got floods, you have hurricanes on the East Coast. So many natural disasters that can happen and occur in certain places more than others. But a simple thing stuck up against a wall next to each of your exits.
It's not pretty in your house, but
it's not pretty, but it might
helps.
save your life.
Right.
It might save your dog's life. It might save your kid's life.
One thing that's not on this list that definitely is needed is you want to have a screwdriver with multiple different heads. You want to have, if possible, a crowbar. You want to have masks, regular masks, in case there's debris flying in the air. That will actually close away any kind of particles from getting into your actual digestive system or air flow. I was going to say a digestive system, which is wrong.
Respiratory.
Respiratory. Thank you. You want to make sure that those are all
and make sure you got a can
clear.
opener.
Yeah, you want to have a can opener for sure. And those are easy to put in a bag. Those are you want to have some gloves, some actual work gloves, so that if you have to, move things around with glass and debris, you don't actually cut your hands. These are all little things that can fit in this disaster bag that they're grab and goes. One thing that I had to do at the hospital was I had to actually assemble these bags and check every department. I had like 35 different areas to check. That was a hard one. So when it comes to disaster preparedness, I've definitely got that one down. I would, one thing you want to have is a treat, dog treats, cat treats, chew toys, any kind of bedding that you can put your dog in case you have to go to a shelter. These are all things that you want to have in your grab and go. Little food dishes, plastic ones that, can easily assemble really quick so that there's a place to put it. Remember your litter, your scoop, a box, maybe a litter box that just sits there, a brand new litter box that can go in the trunk of your car. These things can just sit there until needed, if ever. Have a supply of cash because ATMs do not work during disasters. The debit machines don't work. Usually power is down. So a lot of times when you actually have a natural disaster, say for instance the Northridge earthquake, when that happened in 94, I think, 95, there were no electronic, there's no electricity, so all electronic machines were down. It was cash only. And of course it's an inflated cost. Usually you'll find a lot of people who take advantage of these bad situations. So cash is always needed. So have an emergency supply of cash if possible. And again, have your vet, the name of your vet, phone number to your vet available, pictures of your animals and of family members, and that should pretty much well supply.
You should look at that. There's 2 German Shepherds riding on a boat. Loose.
Yeah, they are.
One good jerk and the dogs are falling off. People are so irresponsible. Oh my gosh, and it's worse in the Missouri area.
I think there is a lot more worse.
The deeper in the Midwest and to the South, people are more and more ignorant.
Yeah, there's some real, not logic, a lot of,
it just made my stomach turn.
Wow.
Oh, that's gross.
How many times do you see it? You'll be on the highway and you'll find dogs roaming the back of a bed of a truck, and they're doing 65 to 80 on a highway.
And they think the dog likes it, and yet pacing back and forth, jumping up, jumping down, pacing is actually a sign of high stress.
All right.
It is not a sign of a dog loving it.
Nope. Oh, but he loves it so much. See how happy he is?
See, he's got his tongue hanging out, and he's pacing back and forth, he's jumping. Oh, he's having a good old time. No, he's stressed out.
So here are things that you want to actually do and don't want to do.
Good way of making me mad, real quick.
Well, there's been a lot of that since we've been recording this episode. Frustrated while recording podcasts. Whether it's people who can't eat properly, or
they're taking their fork and stabbing their food, and you hear clank,
stabbing
clank,
the
clank,
bowl.
clank, 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 from the stupid fork, and then other people wanting to put it on speakerphone so everybody can hear what they're talking, dealing with. It's like, come on.
Actually,
folks.
the whole time we've been recording this show, we've had people walking by, like just now, talking, seeing a microphone around, and we've been in a hideaway spot. We have been away from everybody while recording this.
Yeah, when we sat down, we were around nobody.
We were around nobody, and it's like we say every time we do a podcast, everybody comes around and has to be idiots. Oh my gosh, drives me nuts.
Fool.
Oh my gosh. Well, do you have anything?
No, it's probably best just to kind of wrap it up, just in case something else pops up. We should just go.
It might be a good idea. All right. Well, I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green, making sure everybody realizes life is so short. Play with your pet.
Claire?
I'm Clay Green.
You want to be near the mic?
I'm Clay Green, and play your pets and have fun with your pets and kittens.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime.
Was without doubt the worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.